accreditation for De Anza. Okay, recording.
Yeah.
Our accreditation at De Anza was reaffirmed fully for the next 7 years. And we did not have any areas of deficiency. The college has done a wonderful job. And I want to again embarrass Marissa and thank her and her team for putting together a truly top-notch, comprehensive institutional self-evaluation report that highlights many, but certainly not all, of the great things that we do at De Anza College. In fact, we did receive notification from our visiting team members. These are peers that are selected from across the state to serve as part of the evaluation team. And they commended the college for its exemplary performance in using disaggregated data to essentially guide our programs, and in particular, the focus on supporting historically underserved, underrepresented student populations. So that's really one of the things that we're most proud of at De Anza in terms of our focus on the equity imperative and the work that we do to best support our students. And we're very proud of the fact that the visiting team did note that and commended us for that work. And so we're very happy to announce that your community college has been fully reaffirmed by our accrediting commission for the next 7 years. On the next slide, what you will see is I wanted to put together a list for the next couple of slides. We'll start with this one of the 60 plus programs that De Anza College is currently offering as part of its instructional repertoire. And I think that it's important. I think that someone had mentioned earlier that she had worked at the college for many years and has been gone, I think it was Cindy, and has been gone for a while. And of course, our curriculum processes and just the development of curriculum, both on the credit and non-credit side of the house, continues to evolve. We pride ourselves in being responsive to the ever-changing needs of the workforce. And as part of that responsibility, we're currently reevaluating our existing curriculum and looking at where there may be new opportunities for innovation based on emerging technologies, based on the labor market needs and demands of the workforce, to ensure that we're creating a competitive advantage for our students so that when they graduate or simply may complete a couple of courses in a desire to reskill or upskill, or perhaps earn some sort of industry certified credential in order to enter the workforce and or advance in the workforce, that we're providing the necessary courses and programs in partnership with our sister college, Foothill College, to ensure that our students are competitive when they enter the workforce. And so I'm very proud to announce here today, these are the programs, the 60 plus programs that we currently offer at De Anza College. We put them in alphabetical order, and these slides can certainly will be shared with you. But again, I just call your attention to several things. For example, art, if you're interested in art. We offer a very competitive automotive technology program. We'll talk a little bit about that later today. Obviously, very invested in the STEM fields such as biology and chemistry, engineering, looking at opportunities, computer science, and how it relates to the workforce through cybersecurity, network technologies. All of that's embedded in our computer science and information systems program. Again, supporting the arts, looking at the importance of film and television, recognizing that globally there's, as we all know, there's quite a bit happening in our country right now. So emphasizing the importance of global studies. Health technologies. On the next slide, you'll see a few more programs, totaling 60 or more. I want to highlight the amazing compendium of world languages that we offer at De Anza College. So over 10 languages, including American Sign Language. I mean, again, we are very privileged to host an incredibly diverse community and population of students. And so we take a lot of pride in the number of languages that we offer at De Anza. And again, you have a list here of many of the other programs that are currently in our queue for offerings. And I mention this because it's never too late. If you decide you want to come back to the college, start a new program, a new course of study, you decide that maybe you want to change careers, you want to reskill, you want to upskill, or you're just interested in pursuing an interest. I hope that you will find that De Anza College has an incredible repertoire of complement classes here that will suit your interests and your needs. In addition, and we'll talk a little bit about this later, we're also really working to stimulate additional opportunities through non-credit, or what I prefer to call continuing education, where sometimes students don't need to pay for official units for courses on a transcript, but rather they're looking to, perhaps upscale in the work that they're doing in the workforce through reskilling and upskilling. They're just interested in getting additional training without necessitating actual transcriptable college units. And so we're looking to expand a lot of our work that we do in non-credit, which if I'm invited back in the future to present again, we're really going to buckle down on our development of continuing education non-credit and looking at the needs of the workforce. And so a lot of that coursework is not even included in this list of disciplines that we have now, but we certainly in the future will have more to report out. So on the next slide, we talked about the 60 plus programs that we have, resulting in over 1,800 total courses that are being offered within the framework of those academic disciplines and programs that you just saw. We offer currently about 79, close to 80 associate degree programs. We offer 115 or so certificate programs. And as I mentioned a few moments ago, we've also been developing more and more on the continuing education or non-credit side of the house. In terms of the number of degrees and certificates that we awarded, we do have data for 2023, 2024. And then, of course, sometimes the data is lagging for university transfers because we get that data from the state and through the National Clearinghouse. But again, these numbers are most impressive. If you look at the number of certificates and degrees that we awarded during the last academic school year, the 2023-2024, close to 2,000 associate degrees, and not quite, but closing in on about 1,000 certificates. And then you see that we've been expanding in the continuing education non-credit realm in terms of university transfers from data a couple of years back. And I do expect that these numbers will continue to rise. We take a lot of pride at De Anza College in being one of the tops, if not the top, community college in transfer. And so you'll see that in 2022, 2023, close to 2,500 students actually transferred. Of those 2,500, and again, I'm rounding the numbers up a little bit for simplicity, you'll see that most of them went to the California State University, a good handful to the University of California system, and then we've got several going to independent or out-of-state universities as well. So again, very proud of the support both inside and outside of the classroom, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit, that we provide for our students to ensure that we continue to maintain the tradition of being one of, if not the top transfer California community college across our system. On the next slide, you will see that our student population dynamics have quite varied, actually. It's really the best way to describe it. You'll see that just a little under half of our students are from households with an annual income of under $50,000. I think that that's important because as we talk about the ever-changing mission of the California Community College system, where, as many of you know, and some of you are on the call that are well-versed and have been wonderful thought partners in the direction that our district is going in terms of addressing the housing insecurity for our students. Homelessness is a very serious issue for our students, as is food insecurity, as is mental health and access to services. In this time that we're living in now, without getting too political, we know that there's quite a bit of trepidation and concern on the part of our students, especially undocumented students, women, LGBTQIA plus, in particular, trans students, and the list goes on and on. Our international students, veterans, you name it. We have a lot of populations of students with a considerable amount of challenges. And so we pride ourselves at De Anza in doing our best and our due diligence in addressing those needs, providing the support services for our students so that they have access to those support services so that they can be successful in their classes and in their coursework and in their studies. We see that 29% of our students are first generation. We see that we have roughly 65%, so about two-thirds of our students are under the age of 25. But it's important to know that as a full service where we accept 100% of the population at De Anza College, we have students that vary from the traditional 18 to 24, 25 spectrum all the way to 70, 80, 90 years of age. And so we have a full gamut. We are proud of that, and we do our best to offer as many different courses and programs to the diversity of students whom we serve. And I will end this slide by saying it's amazing that we have students from 58 countries that are attending De Anza College on an F1 visa, over 1,000 students, which is remarkable. And we're very committed to that work, committed to ensuring that we continue to provide an avenue by which we can diversify our campus and bring in deserving students, not only from the community, but also internationally as well. And De Anza College has done extraordinary work in supporting its international students program. On the next slide, when we talk about that holistic college experience for students, it is so important to note that in addition to the classroom successes and the work and the support that we provide for students so that they can achieve their dreams and be successful academically, we also want to make sure that they have other opportunities to engage across the campus and across our community. So, for example, you'll see on the slide here, we offer over 70 student clubs. There are so many opportunities for our students to become engaged and involved based on their interests at De Anza College. And by golly, if we don't have a student club that meets their need, well, they have the opportunity to come together and put in a request to form yet another club. And we entertain those opportunities and those ideas year in and year out. In terms of being involved with our athletics program, we have a highly successful athletics program where we offer opportunities for men and women to engage in sports. We currently have 17 athletic teams, sports that are being honored here at De Anza College. 9 of them are for women. Those 9 include badminton, basketball, regular volleyball, beach volleyball, cross country, soccer, swimming, track and field, as well as water polo. Then on the men's side, we've got 8 teams that consist of baseball, basketball, cross country, a very successful football team that was 10-0 this past year. We're very proud of them. Soccer, swimming, track and field, and water polo for the men as well. So great opportunities, and we're very proud of our athletic program at De Anza College. In terms of opportunities outside of the classroom, on that previous slide, you'll also see that there's opportunities to engage with our Performing Arts Center, our planetarium. We have a wonderful museum on campus, lots of opportunities inside and outside of the classroom. We feature tons of guest speakers and cultural events, service learning, workshops, year in and year out. We'll see some of that on the next slide. I am very proud of the villages. And so one of the frameworks of the California Community College system for the past several years has been to work to develop, based on a meta major approach, a more intentional, focused approach for students to come together when they enter their college career and declare a major, and through their educational plan during the first year, keep students on the path through what we call our guided pathways framework. And what De Anza College has done quite nicely, and I think that we're going to be applying for an award for this, a national award, because I think there's a lot of opportunity here, is looking at what we've done through the concept that we call our villages, where we've established both inside, outside support for students. Through the meta majors, we have 6 villages that we offer. One of them is related to artistic expression. One of them is on business and finance. One is on health and life sciences. One's on language arts or language and communication. The 5th one is on physical sciences and technology. And the last one on social sciences and humanities. And so clustering the majors and the programmatic courses of study based on similarities, bringing them together, affording and building that community for our students, both inside and outside of the classroom, providing intrusive counseling and support as needed through the villages, and ensuring that these students are cohorted and they're working together to accomplish their educational goals. It's a model we're very proud of, and I commend our team. This is not something I created, but rather this is something that when I was applying to become the president, I was so impressed with the work that's been done over the last 5 to 6 years to formulate this highly successful structure at De Anza College. On the next slide, in terms of the return on the investment and in terms of why is De Anza College such a competitive advantage for our community, when you really look at the cost to attend a UC and a CSU and you compare it to the cost of attendance to be a full-time student at De Anza College, it is very clear as day in terms of I'm concern in terms of how much cheaper it is and how much more you're getting for your educational experience, where you are in a classroom that's not necessarily being taught by a TA or teaching assistant, but rather you've got access to professors that have masters and doctorates, and in the case of CTE, associates and bachelor's degrees. You are in a smaller class size where you sometimes have as many as 16, 18, 20 to as high as 30 or 40 students in a class, as opposed to a large lecture hall that has hundreds of students, again, being taught by a teaching assistant versus being taught by an actual professional that's been hired in the community college system, in this case, De Anza College, that has their master's or doctorate or high level degree, and at the same time is focused on teaching and learning as opposed to research and bringing in research dollars to the institution where teaching is considered a secondary concern. That is not the case at De Anza College. We take a lot of pride in the services that we provide instructionally and non-instructionally, in addition to the value proposition for students and for their families in terms of the low cost of attendance. So we are very proud of that. On the next slide, just a very quick update on the next couple of slides regarding our work that we've been doing with regards to your Measure G tax dollars and what you supported back in 2020 and the work that we've been able to do here at De Anza thus far. And these are just a few opportunities. One of the things, and I will say the elephant in the room that we know that we're having ongoing conversations about, where the college is engaged through the district in conducting its due diligence, is with regards to student housing. I believe I heard one young lady that mentioned she's from the McClellan Terrace apartment. So thank you for being here. And I just want to be clear that that deal is certainly not by any means done yet. We've heard some feedback that we've thankfully received from the community. There are ongoing discussions about what direction this will be going. And so that's currently being examined right now. But I do, and I want to take a moment to thank folks, especially a couple on this call that I know have reached out to me personally and reached out to our district leadership, because it's important for us to examine all of the information to make sure that we are being a kind and a good community partner in the direction that we're taking with respect to doing our best to provide access to student housing and at the same time making sure that we're best meeting the needs of our community. So I just wanted to take a point of privilege for a moment to thank our colleagues, all of you in particular, that are on this call, but certainly those that have reached out to me, that have sent emails, that have communicated through various venues. Please know that your thoughts and your input is appreciated, certainly by me, and we continue to examine our work here with regards to providing access through student housing. A lot of other things are in process. Measure G was not just about student housing, certainly. I'm happy to report that we have a new creative arts building that we're in the planning stages of right now that will be built on the space that was originally the Flint Center site. Again, a lot of these projects were already in process even before I came on, and I started as president on January 3rd. So whether it's student housing, whether it's work with the creative arts building, the next item here, the athletics field for a new beach volleyball courts. I wish I could take credit for these things. I cannot. These things were in process already. But as president, I want to make sure that we're doing our due diligence and partnering with the community, partnering with our chancellor and the district leadership to ensure that we're following through in our promises to our community in this work and to make sure that we're doing it in a responsible way, in an ethical way. On the next slide, you'll see a few more things that will be forthcoming. We're having conversations thanks to, again, all of you. If you contributed to voting for the statewide bond for TK through 12 and community colleges, that we were able to benefit and put in a project proposal for the need to revamp and modernize our current PE complex. So that is work that's currently, we're in the initial planning stages for that work based on the statewide bond, Proposition 2, that was passed that will support this work. De Anza College was one of, I believe, 31 projects, if I remember correctly, that was on the queue on the docket for being supported as a result of the passage of Proposition 2. So again, thank you to those of you that did support that. And then other things that are a little bit more mundane, but given the fact that we're going to be 60 years of age in 2027, these are things that, of course, we have to address, such as updating our restrooms and fire alarms and looking at our campus infrastructure in terms of wireless networking, technology, looking at modernizing building roofs and some of the exterior of our buildings, and just examining our overall technological infrastructure to ensure that we are in alignment with the needs of the instructional disciplines and with the technology that's currently available. So a lot of work is going into utilizing responsibly your Measure G tax dollars to ensure that we are beautifying and updating our campus to ensure that it is the best that it can be. I do want to remind folks on this call, never can bond money be used for, for example, administrative raises or any sort of personnel uh, uh, costs associated with employment. This is all meant to benefit the resources, the facilities, and the work that goes into ensuring that we are improving and we are updating and we are modernizing our campus structure. So again, thank you all for your support on that. On the next slide, we've been actively working in partnership with our district office to pursue several grant opportunities. And again, this presentation is based on the accomplishments that were achieved in 2024. So one of the things we're very proud of was our Silicon Valley Advanced Manufacturing Partnership grant that we were able to achieve in partnership with several community colleges, including our sister college, Foothill. We have a MESA Center, which is Mathematics, Engineering, Science Achievement. We were able to procure some money to support that particular program, which serves our underserved first generation minority students that have declared a STEM major: science, technology, engineering, mathematics. Our Child Development Center was able to get an apprenticeship grant, which we're running an apprenticeship through our Child Development Center, which we're very proud of. We've been able to get some money through the National Science Foundation. These are highly competitive grants, but very excited about the fact that we've been able to support things like expanding our advanced manufacturing technologies program, purchasing equipment that will help us achieve access to 3D printers and to really align ourselves with Industry 4.0 in terms of robotics and infusing robotics technology into our programmatic offerings to ensure that our students are able to have access to the latest and the greatest so that when they make that transition into the workforce, it is a seamless transition and they have been appropriately and properly exposed to the latest and greatest in terms of current technology. So we're very proud of that work. On the next slide, you'll see a few more opportunities with grants, including a Strengthening Institutions Program grant to serve historically underserved populations. We've done some great work in creating zero textbook cost, where essentially an entire program or course of study at De Anza College can be completed without the need for a student to purchase a single textbook. In other words, $0. And we know those textbooks can be very expensive. And we've been working very hard in partnership with our faculty that are leading the effort in championing creating through ZTC, zero textbook costs, and OER or open educational resources, the ability for students to navigate through an entire course of study without having to spend 1 cent on an expensive textbook, and therefore really working to meet their basic needs. So we're very proud of that and couldn't have done that work without the $800,000 that we achieved to stimulate that and support that work. Recently, we were awarded a National Endowment for Humanities grant in the amount of $150,000. Unfortunately, I will say that earlier this week, we just found out that DOGE, through the workings of the Trump administration, has removed that funding. And so we had some work that was already in process. We will find a way to not only pay for the work that was already done, but continue to do that work. We will be creative. We will strategize. Bottom line, we were awarded the grant, but unfortunately, with the current administration, given the focus on marginalized communities, we were just notified literally this week that the remaining grant funds have now been taken away by the federal government. But please know that's not going to stop me and that's not going to stop the campus. And we will find a way to fund that work, and we will do that work in service to our students and to our community. So please know that we stand by it. I am very excited about this next slide. For the first time, and just to give you a little historical context, Assembly Bill 927 was passed over a year ago that now allows for the entire California community college system to finally start offering baccalaureate degrees in areas that are vocational or career technical education. Now, let that resonate for just a moment. I want to be clear. I don't want people leaving this call thinking, oh my gosh, De Anza College can now start offering all of these bachelor's degrees. No, no, no. They're focused on career technical education. So they have to be specifically vocational. And so we are starting with one of our highly successful programs that has decades of successes, and that's our automotive technology program. They have developed a bachelor's degree in automotive technology management, and it's going to be starting this fall of 2025. So we're very excited about that. It's an incredible opportunity where we know there's demand in the field, and we're looking to now create additional bachelor's degrees in vocational areas. And so next time you have me back, I'm sure that I will have an update on yet what the next couple of bachelor's degrees are going to be. We're currently in the process of brainstorming that. But for right now, we're excited. Our first one out the gate, the flagship will be the automotive technology program. On the next slide, we continue to do some great work through our CTE or our vocational programs. We've got over about 25 CTE programs, from accounting and database design to child development, health technologies. I mentioned automotive technology, design manufacturing technologies, paralegal studies, and more. So a lot of work is going there. We talked about the bachelor's degrees, and we're really looking at how we can best partner with our local business and industry partners to bring in the latest and greatest in technology. And as we formulate curriculum that aligns with the needs of industries, there are times where we may not actually have the curriculum developed already. That's okay. We're having those conversations now with the workforce about possibly running through contract education, any and all training that they may need. And then once we have actually conducted that training through contract ed, if we see that it's viable, if we see that there's demand above and beyond just that particular company that asked us to do the training, then we will work to develop the curriculum either through continuing education, non-credit, or through credit. So it's an exciting time because technology is absolutely erupting through artificial intelligence, simulation, virtual and augmented reality. It's a great time for us to be in higher education, to be able to provide these opportunities to educate our students and get them jobs, good paying jobs into the workforce. You can imagine it's hard to keep up, but we are doing our darndest and we're having fun while we do it. And we are collaborating with business and industry. You'll see a slide later. You'll be amazed at all of the partnerships that we've developed to ensure that this work continues. On the next slide, I did mention to you continuing education or non-credit. We already offer continuing education or non-credit in disciplines such as automotive, computer science, photography, real estate, some math and English, and of course, English as a second language. This past year, we developed some new certificates and therefore courses in things such as autonomous and electric vehicles, database science and project management. And as I mentioned earlier, there's a lot more non-credit continuing education to come. And I want to pause for a moment because you might say to yourself, well, how is non-credits, why is it so special? Well, one of the things I mentioned earlier is you don't have to worry about it appearing on your transcript. These are not unit classes per se. These are classes that are taken 0 units. They can sometimes be open entry, open exit. As students need the classes, they can jump in and jump out. But what I love about non-credit continuing education is the classes are free. And you heard me correctly, they're free. We're able to offer those courses. We get revenue from the state based on specific categories. We can't just offer anything through non-credit. It has to fit within one of the 10 categories. But the beauty of it is they don't cost a single cent for our students or for our returning adults, and yet they provide amazing opportunities for students to learn something new, not have to go down the traditional credit path where the classes are sometimes take a while. Non-credit classes are typically much shorter in duration. They're more low stakes in terms of you don't have to worry about a grade or going on your transcript or what if I fail. Just a lot more flexibility, a lot more freedom, and much more potential as we look to the future of the workforce. So very excited about that and more to come on that in the future. On the next slide, our recent graduation that we had almost a year ago now, because here we are beginning spring quarter next week. And before you know it, it'll be graduation. But last year's 57th annual commencement in 2024, we had over 1,800 students graduate. Many of them earned multiple degrees. We see that in particular in the STEM fields, where they may graduate with, for example, a computer science degree, but maybe they were engineering and they also get a math degree at the same time. This year's graduation will be on a Sunday on June 29th at the Santa Clara Convention Center. We have sometimes had graduation on campus, sometimes at the convention center. I mean, it really just depends on who beats us to the punch in terms of making the reservation. I know that it's going to be interesting what we're going to be able to do next year. Won't give the spoiler yet, but spring of 2026. We may have to change course, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. One never knows. Next slide, please. Again, we've highlighted, and hopefully you have seen, and it's been reinforced, the incredible commitment that De Anza College has to ensuring that we are supporting our students both inside and outside of the classroom so that they can successfully achieve their educational goals. Now, not every student is going to transfer. But one of the things we're very proud of is for our transfer rates at De Anza College, our students do remarkably well. We pride ourselves in providing those support services so that they can accomplish their goals of transferring where appropriate. And not only are we proud of the fact that we're tops in transfer throughout the state, but look at this list of universities. Look at where our students are going. Here you see a snapshot, and by all means, it's not all the colleges and universities, but a good snapshot of where the class of 2024, where they ended up going. And these are just remarkable accomplishments on the part of our students, from the UCs, CSUs, to private or independent colleges and colleges that are out of the state. On the next slide, we have a lot of campus highlights, a lot of wonderful opportunities to engage our community and to bring our community to the college, from welcome day to a plethora of guest speakers, workshops, celebrations, competitions. We had the Future Summit for Artificial Intelligence, where we partnered with the State Chancellor's Office through our Digital Center for Innovation, Technology, and Equity. A lot of work that's being done on the part of Foothill De Anza and De Anza College to be cutting edge, to be responsive to the needs of the workforce, and to ensure that we are appropriately and properly partnering with governmental entities, our state chancellor's office, and others to ensure that we remain cutting edge, responsive, and to ensure that we're creating that pipeline of opportunities for our students into the workforce. So we're very proud of how our campus continues to be a beacon and responsive and a leader in providing those pathways and opportunities. On the next slide, lots of ongoing community events. I hope that all of you are not only familiar with these events, but that hopefully you've participated in these events. And of course, I invite you, if you have not taken advantage of these opportunities, to please, try to open up your calendar on a weekend once a month to come to the flea market, for example, or to experience the farmers market, Cupertino night market, Silicon Valley Reads, etc. We pride ourselves in bringing guest speakers to campus, including elected officials. We are continuing to provide access to parking on campus in support of events, as you see here on the screen, such as the Cherry Blossom Festival, Silicon Valley Fall Fest, and some of the other items that are listed here. So again, one of the things that I do want you to hear from me as president is my commitment to ensuring that we're partnering with the city of Cupertino, with the chamber, and with others to ensure that we can utilize De Anza College to meet your needs and to create that synergy between the community and with our college. Next slide. Here's where I start getting really excited about new opportunities. So we've engaged in a lot of work to solidify our partnerships with our local high school districts. And I say districts plural because, of course, we work very closely with Fremont Union. But then because we're part of the Foothill De Anza district, we have an opportunity to also meet the needs of Palo Alto, Mountain View, and even looking at outside of our district where we see that often our students are coming to us from outside of the district because of the reputation that De Anza College holds. And so how are we doing some of that networking with students that are coming to us even before they are of collegiate age? Well, through dual enrollment. And so we've worked with several high schools to expand our dual enrollment opportunities at De Anza College. Again, dual enrollment by definition of the California system can be accomplished in multiple ways. You may have a child or a grandchild that might have taken a class at De Anza College while they were in high school. Well, they could have done that in multiple ways. They could have done that by participating through our middle college high school, which we have one on campus, a partnership with the Fremont Union High School District. They could have taken a dual enrollment class where De Anza actually offered the class on the high school campus during the high school day and closed to the public because it's during the high school day. That's another way the students can engage in dual enrollment. Or a third way could be, you know what? They've gone through their high school classes during the day. They went home at the end of the day. They decided they wanted to sign up for an online class, or maybe there was a class being offered after hours on their campus by De Anza, or maybe they came to the De Anza campus to take a class. But you can see there's so many different ways that we offer dual enrollment access for our high school students, grades 9 through 12, by the way. They don't have to wait till they're in grade 11 as juniors. They can start as early as their freshman and sophomore year. We're very proud of that. We continue to support that. We engage in extensive outreach through our outreach department, working with the various high schools, the principals, the assistant principals, the counselors, to ensure that we are promoting opportunities and empowering students to get going on their college going culture experience at De Anza. So very excited about that. And again, you'll see some pictures here and a little bit more information on the slide. On the next slide, community education. Marissa and her team do a remarkable job. Marissa, multifaceted. Not only does she engage with our marketing and public information for the college, but she also oversees our Child Development Center, our Community Extension Program, our planetarium, the Museum of Art. And so again, you'll see all sorts of opportunities. I want to highlight for just a moment a couple of things. The planetarium, if you have not been to one of our shows, you've got to come. Some amazing shows. Last year in 2024, we saw more than 2,800 people come to the planetarium. In terms of the academies that we offer, in particular, we have our summer academies for our K through 12 students. We've got access through disciplines such as art, athletics, computer programming, languages, math, science, speech and debate, writing. We have art camps for the younger grades. We've even got things like online coding camps for the high school students and more. I mean, these are just snapshots. We do have a publication that goes out to the community. We also have the listing of all of the courses available on our website as well. But please take a look at that if you have not. It is unbelievable. And if I said 2,800 visitors, I meant to say 28,000 visitors to the planetarium. I mean, it is just unbelievable how many people come. And I would encourage all of you to please be a part of that. The museum, you'll see there, we saw nearly 6,500 visitors this past year, where we see tons of children that attend some of the after school arts classes. We also offer art camps during the summer at schools and community centers across Cupertino and Sunnyvale. Again, very proud of this work and this networking to ensure that we're bringing De Anza to the community and we're bringing the community to De Anza College. On the next slide, our Child Development Center continues to be an amazing opportunity for our young kiddos. Affordable childcare, competitive pricing to get into the center compared to other opportunities throughout the city. We offer training opportunities through our transfer program. We have a child development transfer program where many times the students will do their practicum hours in the center as part of the completion of the program. I mentioned earlier, we also now have an apprenticeship where we're working with local business and industry to bring in those employees that are looking to become certified in child development and to create an opportunity for the coursework while they are employed in their local business. So again, great expansion, great opportunities there, a collaboration between Marissa's team through the Child Development Center and our instructional team as well. And of course, we offer a lot of short classes as well for enrichment, job skill practice and preparation, etc. Next slide. The next few slides, in fact, I'll just take, maybe flip through a couple of these. We have an amazing number of community and corporate partnerships. Keep going to the next slide. Again, this slide deck will be sent out. So the next 5 or so slides, so couple more, maybe this is the last one. No, just kidding. Uh, amazing number of partnerships, both within the community, business, and industry. De Anza College has done its due diligence in really networking with our community to ensure that we're providing that opportunity for students and for the community to be a part of our college. We're very proud of this list. Again, hopefully this presentation will be sent out to all of you. I certainly encourage you to examine the list. And by golly, if you have other ideas where you think, Omar, I think that De Anza College really ought to consider XYZ. Please reach out to me. Please email me. I would be more than happy to follow up because I am very interested in ensuring that we are networking to the greatest extent possible with as many different businesses and industry across our community. It's an opportunity for the college. It's an opportunity for the employers and employees. It's an opportunity for our students that eventually will be the employees and employers of our community in the future. It is an investment, and I'm committed to that investment, and I certainly rely on all of you to help me to see where we may capitalize upon new opportunities. On the next slide, and I know I'm watching the time here. Debbie, please keep me focused. Um, I could talk for hours, and of course, I don't want to put you all to sleep. But a lot of achievements, just highlighting a few here. Thank you all for honoring our Manufacturing Technology Department Chair, Mike Appio, as Educator of the Year last year. Very much appreciate that. He does remarkable work, and as advanced manufacturing, which is one of the 6 top priority sectors for the Bay Area Consortium. There are jobs And as we transition from Industry 4.0 to 5.0, the importance of advanced manufacturing and chips and robotics and mechatronics and you name it, it is only going to increase and continue. And so thank you all for honoring Mike. He is one of the silent unsung heroes, does a lot of work behind the scenes to provide opportunities for our students, and he's very much deserving of the award that you all honored him with. So I do appreciate that. I wanted to thank all of you for that. Deanza has is ranked second highest statewide for the percentage of students that successfully completed transfer level math and English. And when I say statewide, I mean out of all 116 California community colleges, we were ranked number two. So I wasn't kidding earlier when I said that we're tops in transfer. Very proud of that. The women's badminton team earned a scholar team designation for a second year in a row after winning the state championship for 2 years in a row. So again, our athletic program, very successful, and we are very proud of the work that our students do in representing the college and participating in statewide events such as the Future Business Leaders. So again, just a little bit there. On the next slide, you will see that we've got a few more. Thank you, John. Thank you for being here. Some awards for our journalism students. Our real estate instructor was honored. History major student selected for a summer internship at Stanford's Martin Luther King Jr. Research and Education Institute, which that's a very prestigious opportunity for the student. And I mentioned the incredible successes of our football team, 10-0, where our football coach was named Coach of the Year for our area. Thank you all for supporting, and I know Dennis Chima's here. I really appreciate his leadership and the work of the Foothill De Anza Foundation in creating this opportunity to support the Hope Initiative. The goal was to raise $3 million. We surpassed that goal. Dennis and his team and all of you, because you contributed to that work, did remarkably in helping the district meet and surpass its goal to really support the needs of our students, whether it's addressing homelessness, food insecurity, mental health, and more. We couldn't have done it without you. We thank you, we owe you, and we are so grateful to all of you. On the next slide, trying to go quick, because I do want to spend a little time here in these last few items. And this is what I think you're probably most interested in. And that is, where are we going? Because I just gave you a historical context on what we've done, but now hearing from me as the fifth and newest permanent president, where are we going? Well, we want to develop additional baccalaureate degrees in career technical education. I want to bring back a career center so that we are expanding opportunities for students for access to business and industry through internships and expanding. We've got 2 apprenticeships already. I mentioned child development earlier and also automotive technologies. We've got to be doing more than that. So we're going to be expanding the capacity for our students to earn additional access points and entry into internships and apprenticeships. Workforce training, working with local business and industry, beta testing training through contract education, sometimes called not for credit. And at the same time, if there's labor market demand, developing that curriculum through either continuing education, non-credit, or credit, instead of waiting until we have the curriculum developed. And then that poor business or industry would have loved to have engaged in some sort of training, but they couldn't do it because they were waiting for us to get our act together and to get the curriculum developed. Well, no, ma'am, no, sir. Those days are over. We're going to engage from day one in that training through contract education. We'll develop the curriculum in parallel. And then if they need to offer it through credit or non-credit, we'll be positioned to where we can do it. And if they don't need that, then we continue to offer it through contract ed. So very excited about that opportunity. We talked about the importance of emerging technologies. I'm currently in the process of working with our team and through the foundation to apply for funding so that we can expand student access to emerging technologies such as simulation, artificial intelligence, virtual and augmented reality, and more. The future is here. Whether you think about flying cars, you look at your smartphones, robots, it's all here. We've got to be responsive. We've got to aggressively pursue funding opportunities to ensure that our students have access to the latest and greatest state-of-the-art technology. Because if we don't do it, shame on us. because when they transition into the workforce, they're not going to have a clue if they haven't had that exposure at your local community college. So I am committed to that, and we will find the funding for that. I'm also working with some federal lobbyists to see if we can create an appropriation or two so we can get funding. I know times are interesting in Washington right now, but we'll do whatever we got to do and move every single rock to ensure that we're creating those opportunities for our students and we're getting the necessary funding to do so. Student housing, we've talked about already. Again, that's a work in progress. Proposed county health center on campus. There's, again, another gift that I've inherited that conversations were in place long before I came to the college. But this is certainly something that De Anza College is looking into right now. A lot of momentum towards creating a community health clinic on the De Anza campus. And we'll, that it's still in process and we'll see where that goes. Thank you, Mallory. Next, credit for prior learning, really making sure that folks such as veterans and others that have had an opportunity to work before coming to college or coming back to college and looking at how those competencies and those skills can translate into credit without them having to repeat courses again. Why repeat coursework that you already have the comparable proficiencies and the skills because of your experience in the workforce? That is what credit for prior learning does. It honors that experience. It gives students credit so we can put them at the next level or the higher level classes so that we can shorten their time to certification or completing a particular program. And so we're really looking at expanding our credit for prior learning opportunities here on campus. And so that is something that we'll be developing over the course of the next few years. We talked about dual enrollment. We talked about free textbooks. We talked about meeting our students' basic needs. We talked about developing non-credit programming. And lastly, I'll say that in terms of strategic planning, really looking at the needs of the workforce, analyzing labor market data, and fine-tuning our internal strategic planning processes to ensure that we are nimble, we're flexible, we're responsive, and we're best meeting the needs of our students. On the next slide, we've got an open house that's coming up on Saturday, April 26th from 10 to 2. Marissa and her team have been working really hard on this. I'm very excited about this event. It's going to be amazing where we bring in prospective students, their families, community residents. Come one, come all. Everyone's welcome. We're going to have academic showcases, campus tours. We're going to have parent sessions. Thank you, Danielle. The planetarium's going to have opportunities, food trucks, activity zone with games. A lot is going to be available on that day. So I encourage you to check out the website for more details, and we look forward to seeing you on April 26th. And that is it. That is mine. I know that was a lot and I could have gone on for hours. I am so excited about this college. I am so excited about the promise for opportunity in the future and equally thankful to all of you for your time today, as well as for the opportunity to present and for your support and investment in De Anza College. So thank you.
Thank you so much, President Torres. I just stopped sharing the screen so we can open it up for questions and answers. And what I'll do is, because we have quite a few people on, which is good, I'm hoping that people will raise their hands if they have questions. And we have a bit of time for that. So that's great. So anybody have any questions?
Rhoda,
Go ahead.
good afternoon.
Hi, nice to see you again. Thank you so
Great
much
to
for
see
your
you too.
yeah, in my black and whiteness. Thank you, Dr. Torres, for your presentation and for introducing yourself at a myriad of community events. I really appreciate it. As I mentioned at the board meeting the other night,
Thank you.
it makes me misty to think about, literally. Anyway, applaud your looking at having De Anza being more than a JC. Sadly, and that spring open house is definitely a step in the right direction. Because we used to have De Anza days way back then. Sadly, De Anza has become a bit of a black hole, and I hope that you can bring its vibrancy back. And speaker series, use of swimming pools, etc. I'll tell you, I just looked at my property tax bill the other day. I hope you look at find out what people are paying in our property taxes for our district because it's a lot. I am paying a lot of money, and I've actually, fortunately, under Prop 13, but I'm paying a lot of money for the college, and yes, it's educated my son. I appreciate it, but we really need to see some back in the greater community. And I applaud the district for its efforts in providing affordable education. But that brings us to the housing. So you know what I'm gonna talk about, right? The elephant in the room. That purchase of the terrace is just not a good idea. And I was shocked that there was no outreach by the district's consultants to our stakeholders. None. The best use of that property is for K through 12 families, not grades 13 and 14. No other complexes in Cupertino is within a half mile of K through 12. So, okay, here's my question, right? Where's the question?
Thanks,
Look,
Rhoda.
what is the process for the community to convince this district to choose a better solution? We're really
Sure. No,
here.
thank you. Yeah, thank you. And again, as I mentioned briefly and alluded to earlier, certainly that this is a project, and these are discussions that have been ongoing for a couple of years. Certainly, the prospect of the McClellan Terrace location is a more recent development, but again, this work's been in process for a while now. I think that. Folks such as yourself have done a great job, and I want to thank you, Rhoda, publicly for the information that you have sent forth via email. It's been very informative, and I think that it is really opening up dialogue for multiple conversations to occur regarding what those next steps will entail. I want to remind folks on the call, certainly, that the student housing is not just for De Anza, it's also for Foothill College, and it's also for the Sunnyvale location, which is a center location for Foothill as well. So it isn't just De Anza College driving this. It is conversations that are more centralized at the district office, and the district office is currently engaged in doing its due diligence in this process currently. And so I don't know where the conversations will lead. It's impossible to predict. But I will say, Rhoda, to answer your question, I think that what folks have been doing in terms of sending in the communications as they've done to the board, and I thank you for certainly including the chancellor and for copying me, because I certainly want to hear from the community and want to be as well versed as possible on what different folks are thinking and what are some of the different ideas. I would encourage folks to continue to do that. Certainly, our board meetings per the Brown Act are open, and people have an opportunity to come in and make a public comment. We have a board meeting scheduled for next Monday that's already been published. I would encourage you to look at that agenda as well. And so I think together, if we just continue to have those conversations, I have to believe in my heart of hearts and certainly in my mind that we will come to an acceptable solution moving forward. But thank you for your input, and please continue to provide that as you can.
Hey, anybody else thank you, uh, Omar. Anybody else for questions?
There's some questions in chat. I'll just throw mine out there, Omar. As someone who's lived in this valley a long time, and you're new, what's been the most surprising thing about your first 100 days of listening that you experienced in our wonderful community?
Wow, great question, Dennis. Thank you. From I'm gonna yeah from the community, and I think Rhoda sort of alluded to it a little bit in part of her comment earlier, so I'm gonna reframe it a little bit. I think that as involved as De Anza College has tried to be in the past with the community, I think that there's an opportunity to do more. But I also want to be forgiving because as we all know, our world suffer a significant setback in early 2020 when the pandemic hit, and different areas and different regions and different sectors across the not only the our region but the state, the country, and dare I say the world have bounced back in different ways. To tie it into De Anza, we have not yet fully recouped our enrollments that we had pre-pandemic. Now we are increasing, the enrollments are continuing to come back, but, and I may tie this into Cindy's question a little bit, we have not fully bounced back. So, Dennis, to answer your question, I think that in fairness to the campus, to the district, to the state, to our nation, and even, dare I say, to the world, I think that we're continuing to bring people back and to re-engage. I think that that re-engagement is important. I know that the Silicon Valley is very invested in technology, and part of that re-engagement will necessitate humans to work with robots and to bring that technology to the workforce, to colleges and universities, to ensure that we continue to educate the future generation of employees, while at the same time honoring some of the basic tenets that have been critical to the foundation of community building in Cupertino, as well as Sunnyvale and across the Foothill De Anza boundaries. So I think what I've learned is that there's an opportunity to continue to support the work to re-engage, going back to De Anza with the community with De Anza, and at the same time to continue to support the advances that are being made in the workforce and making sure that we are reliable, responsive partners to business and industry. And let me be clear, it isn't just about De Anza asking for money for equipment. It's also about industry being willing to come to De Anza being willing to go out to industry, making sure that there is that sort of awareness of that necessary back and forth so that we can complement and support one another in the name of innovation, in the name of being entrepreneurial, in the name of sustaining and maintaining a growth mindset while being responsive to the ever-changing economic and workforce development of our county, our region, and our state. So I think that we need to continue to do that work, and we need to continue to engage the community in that work in a way that goes back to pre-pandemic and even beyond what we were doing during the pre-pandemic era. And so that is something that I'm very focused on. That is something that I have heard over and over. It's one of my lessons learned, and I hope that answers your question.
Cindy, did you want to say your question out loud, or I can read it? I'll read it.
Oh, there I am.
Go ahead, Cindy.
I'm trying to start video. There I am. Okay. Well, I was just wondering how you see, I'm guessing that it's taking some time for on-campus classes to rejuvenate. And there's nothing in my mind that says we have to go back to what things were before the pandemic, because certainly in financial aid, a lot of our students came from East San Jose. They drove the furthest and had the most traffic to get through. And even if you have a bus pass, it takes forever to get here and back, as well as your employees, I'm sure. I know some of my cohorts in crime enjoy working at home as well. So what's the vision for moving forward? You don't want to cut that out completely and insist on everybody getting to campus. It's not, when we go on campus now, it's not the thriving kind of community that we remember. How do you build that a new balance in the future?
No, thank you, Cindy. That's a great question. And I'll start with some facts here. I would be remiss if I did not answer your question in this way and tell this group on this call that we, in my professional, humble opinion, we will never go back to what we were pre-pandemic. And I say that because the pandemic really forced us to examine and to really actualize the promise of technology in what we do day to day. And our students in particular, because they experience going through elementary or middle school or high school, wherever point they were between 2020 and now, I shouldn't say now, but when the pandemic ended a couple years later and we reemerged post-pandemic, they have now experienced virtual instruction. And because the promise that virtual instruction, especially in the lecture setting that it provides, I am convinced that we are not going to ever go back to where we were pre-pandemic. And to give you some stats, our current ratio right now is about 50-50. We are 50% remote and we are 50% in person. So to your observation about walking or driving to the De Anza campus and not quite seeing all the voluminous number of cars that you saw pre-2020, 2019, it's because we will probably never be at that point again. I will tell you that as we go to reimagine our next strategic plan, which our current educational master plan expires in 2027, we're now starting to have conversations about what the next iteration of planning for De Anza and for the district, for that matter, is going to look like. I will tell you that I really see that we're going to be doing less lecture classes on campus, and it's going to be more laboratory based, more kinesthetic lab classrooms. But I also want to say that for majors such as STEM, I will also say that I don't think in person will ever fully go away because given that we have the privilege of serving 100% of the entire student population that comes to De Anza College, there will always be students that will thrive much more so in an engaging in-person environment compared to if you throw them into a remote environment. And so while we may not offer, Cindy, as much in person, I do not think that in person will ever totally go away. And I do believe that we will be offering in person and try to offer a little bit more in person where it's needed. But honestly, I'm also going to see that some of those classrooms will be repurposed and modernized in the future for more creative laboratory instructional spaces.
Yeah, I like that. Thanks.
Thank you.
So just in the interest of time, I'm going to read people's questions, last comments for you to respond to. We have the next one from Kathleen, and she said she's posing an idea, De Anza Village incorporating housing and services to help college and city.
Interesting.
Lisa has a question because several residents have heard that De Anza may be considering having the 4th of July fireworks at this year. Is this a rumor or are there discussions taking place? And how soon would a decision be made? 3 months comes fast.
I'll be really quick on that one. Yes, I have been approached by the mayor and certain members of city council. I think that there's opportunity there. I would be remiss if I said, given that I came from Southern California and where the fires came, I maybe have a little bit of PTSD because of that, because a lot of my friends lost their homes during these horrible fires that occurred in January. I am a fan of perhaps not using traditional fireworks, but perhaps utilizing drones as part of our 4th of July celebration. I think that is safer. I think certainly safer for the college, safer for the residents of Cupertino. And so we're engaged in those conversations right now with the city and with the mayor.
Great. And then lastly, there's just a comment by Rhoda, learn by doing, yay. So there's
Absolutely.
To your point about everything pretty much staying kind of hybrid that way. I think you're absolutely right. While making sure that the education stays at a high quality level. Because I do
Absolutely.
think all grades have been impacted by the remote learning during the pandemic. Great adaptation for something like a worldwide issue, but a way to get the quality of education maintained at the high quality that we have.
That's right.
It's been very important to this community for a very long time. Anyways, I don't see any raised hands. We have approximately 9 minutes left and to 2 o'clock. So this is awesome. And what I would like to use the time for, if anybody has any last minute questions, I do want to honor them first before I make a couple of.
Well, I do have a question, but it's and maybe forgive my ignorance, but I hear what you're saying about your interpretation as far as classes not going back to pre-pandemic level. Does De Anza, as well as other colleges, are getting grants or funds by the government?
So I want to make sure I'm understanding the question. So in other words, are we continuing to receive federal or state grants?
Federal grants. And the reason why I'm asking that is that if you do, well, my understanding, my humble opinion, I don't know anything of anything much, but my understanding is that they're pushing everybody to go back to the norm as far as this administration is concerned. So, and if you do get federal grants, wouldn't you be worried that, or will you get some type of pressure and maybe an expectation in getting those funds in to make sure that you're pushing ahead to actually kind of close the gap in those, I'm not saying indefinitely as far as the Zoom classes is concerned, but do you think that that could be something that will come up soon?
Yeah, no, that's a great, thank you. Thank you for making that connection for me. I wanted to make sure I was clear in answering your question. You know, it's interesting because there's as you all know, there's been a lot of conversation about the Department of Education and its dismantling as of late. And of course, in those conversations, the Department of Education, shortly before Trump went into office, there was a reevaluation of our existing distance education federal policies as related to regular and substantive interaction for students that are engaged in an online class to ensure that the instructor was leading the engagement and that there was engagement occurring not only between the instructor and the student, but between student and student. And so we currently at De Anza, based on a recommendation for professional development and growth, or what they call institutional effectiveness, that we received from our recent accreditation visit, we have moved mountains to create a regular and substantive interaction training for all of our faculty that teach online to ensure that our faculty remain cutting edge, to ensure that they are best educating their students while creating an environment that is engaging, inclusive, and transformative in the online or remote classroom. And so, with that, to answer your question, yes, I do believe that there is some reevaluation of certain grant deliverables that are coming or that are stemming from the federal government. I do believe that, and we have some federal grants, certainly. Not we have more state and local, but we do have some federal. We are doing our due diligence to re-examine that grant language to ensure that we are compliant with the dear colleague and with the expectations of the federal government. And in instances where we're not, then we are reevaluating whether we want to continue to do that work and be therefore federally funded, or as we saw with the NEH grant that I mentioned a little while ago, sometimes the decision is being made for us that grant funding is being removed. And of course, then in those instances, we're trying to find creative and alternative streams, especially if the work and the outcomes associated with that grant were important to the institution, so that we can continue to do that work. At the end of the day, though, I ultimately will always defer to not only the needs of the students pedagogically, but also to the leadership of our faculty and our academic senate. We have a system set up in the California Community College system per Assembly Bill 1725 that was passed in the late 1980s that really puts and gives the primacy of the integrity of educational excellence to the faculty. And we provide our faculty with extensive professional development to make sure that they're cutting edge, to ensure that they're responsive, and to ensure that our programs are of an excellent value and that they align with the needs of the workforce. And so I work very closely with our academic senate, our president, our curriculum chair, to ensure that those programs are aligning with what is expected of us in terms of federal government regulations, but not at the extent of local control, to ensure that we're doing what's best for our population of students at Cupertino, at Sunnyvale, and what De Anza College serves. Because I think that that's important. I don't think that there's a one size fits all, and I will always make sure that we're responsive to the needs of our community first and foremost.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Omar.
you.
We have a couple more raised hands, and I know we only have a couple of minutes, so I'll make my announcement and then we'll go to the couple of hands. The only announcement I have so far is that 2 Sundays from now, April 13th, there's our Holy Festival of Colors. It's a lot of fun, a little bit messy, but come on out. It's at Memorial Park. This is our 23rd year, so longtime festival that's loved by the community. Our cross-cultural opportunity, and many of your local leaders will be there as well. Okay, so I will hand it over to Rhoda, and then there's one more Lisa, and then I'm gonna end to respect everybody's time. Go ahead, Rhoda.
I was hoping you could clarify. So there's an intent to build staff housing at Foothill College, and I don't understand the resistance about building student housing at De Anza, and I've never really heard like a convincing reason what the resistance is there. And I was wondering, I know you're new, but I'm wondering whether you can shed some light on that. Thank you.
Yeah, Rhoda, I'll need to look into that because again, when I started January 3rd, conversations were already geared in the direction of a couple of potential options across Cupertino. And of course, now we're having conversations about the McClellan Terrace location. So I'm not even sure what that resistance was or why people weren't in favor of that. So I would need to research that more. I don't want to say something that's incorrect. So let me look into that and I'll get back to you.
Okay, and then lastly, Lisa, we do have something from Kathleen. Sorry, Kathleen, we're just going to have to cut off because we only have like 3 minutes left. And maybe you could pose your question in an email to Dr. Torres or one of the staff members on the call. Lisa, go ahead. Lisa? Okay, I'm going to lower Lisa's hand. Lisa, you're on mute too. Okay, then I will go to Lisa. Okay, then I will go to Kathleen.
Thank you, Deb. I appreciate it very much. Listening to you, Dr. Torres, I'm very impressed and very encouraged that you're going to be wonderful for the college, the district, and our community. And in the concept of bringing community members together and serving multiple needs at the same time, I actually am the person who started the contract instruction program at De Anza College back in the late 70s, early 80s. And at the time, I envisioned a bridge going from the college almost literally in my mind, spanning over the residential areas into Silicon Valley companies with employees and students going back and forth, and ideas and technologies and curriculum going back and forth. So I am thrilled to hear that you are so supportive of those notions and to know that they are still very much alive. But what I heard today created another idea in my mind of this De Anza village. The city of Cupertino is under regulation from the state now under law to meet its housing element, which is quite ambitious. I believe it's something like 4,000 or 5,000 housing units. And given that it sounds like there's controversy about the McClellan Terrace property, and that would mean taking over existing housing, has the district or had the college looked into the idea of building new housing, which will help the city meet its goal, take the same, 300 or so units, and incorporate into this some of the services that I heard you talking about, which are very exciting: mental health, county health center.
Sorry to interrupt, Kathleen. You got to speed it up a little bit.
Okay, just some of those other services could somehow be incorporated into something exciting and vibrant and a go-to place that is built around student housing. I realize it's a longer lead time than taking over an existing
Yeah.
complex, but anyway, I just wanted to toss out the idea.
No, Kathleen, I want to take you out to lunch. So, let's connect offline. But let me tell you, I think that there's certainly it's a noble idea, noble suggestion. As you said, it would take longer for us to be able to provide access to students. I am very concerned, and I think we all are aware. We turn on the news every day, and we're hearing about the spiking prices and tariffs and what's happening to our economy and your 401ks and everything else that's happening with this insanity right now. Forgive me, I'm being a little too honest, perhaps right now. And because of that, there's a great deal of instability with the market, and costs are continuing to increase and skyrocket. And so my fear is that we're going to eat away at whatever precious measure G dollars we have, and we will not be able to our fullest capacity do that which we desire to do that's in the best interest of our students as well as the community. So we have some conflicting considerations that all I'm saying is would need to be reconciled with that idea. Not to say it's a bad idea, it's just we have to think about all the ripple effects and all the moving pieces, given that we have 3 3/4 years left in this current administration.
Okay, so I just want to remind folks, Dr. Torres has been kind enough to post his email at Foothill De Anza. So it's Torres with an S, Omar at fhda.edu, so you can email him any questions or comments you may have. Thank you so much, President Torres, for being here, and we will invite you back again. Don't worry about that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I look forward to it, Deborah. Thank you.
Yes, looking forward to further engagement as well. And thank you so much, everyone, for being here. It's been a really great LAC. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Have a great day.